Okay, so Kal Kadosh, we're going to start the second shiur, which is basically building the foundation, this Chinuch Yeladim, the obligation and advantage of instilling authority in children. Obviously, we first wanted to say Potchim Lichvod Atzania. We wanted to thank our dear friend David Becker and his dear wife for opening up their doors. Bezrat Hashem, they should have a lot of simachot in this house. Beracha and atzlacha b'chol ma'aseh yedeihem. The shiur is going to be, Brit Milot, everything, children, grandchildren, everything here. Bezrat Hashem, they should have, the shiur will be also Lilu Nishma, Dina Bat Adel, Zichronan Livracha, Gabriel Samuel Sabah Ben David, Zichronan Livracha, and Ve'libadel Lechaim Tovim Lechayev Lefuat, Atinok Yitzchak Ben Esther Sarah, and Adel Miriam Bat Michal Aliyah, שיהיה להם רפואה שלמה, רפואת הנפש והגוף, לכל חולי מלכי ישראל also בכללם. We're going to start as follows. So today we're going to speak about the gift of discipline. Now, many times you have to know that whenever you're going to give a present, a gift, it's very important what? The gift wrap. The gift wrap, especially for women, is more important than the gift.
I tried.
Right? It doesn't work. Okay. But the gift wrap is more important than the actual gift in itself. And therefore, we're going to actually understand as follows. So we have the gift. The gift is that we have the discipline and authority in Chinuch. That's the way that it is. But the gift wrap is going to be the approach to how we think and how we're going to approach this subject. So that's going to be the gift wrap, which again, we have the gift. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us children, and that's a gift in itself. And now the question is, how do we come and we're going to educate them properly? So in order to understand this, we're first going to have to understand that there's no such thing as an instruction booklet for Chinuch. Yeah? I got that very clear. No such thing as an instruction booklet for Chinuch. Now the question is, so how do we work then? How are we going to start? If there's no instructions, so how do we start then? What exactly are we going to do? So we're going to explain as follows. We're going to be jumping around from one topic to another to purposely show you that it's not like a manual. Because if it's going to become a manual, we're going to fail. And there's going to be many different reasons for that. So let's start, okay? There's something which is called Western thinking and the Torah thinking, right? The way the Torah thinks and the way Western civilization thinks. So we're going to start as follows. Do you know that our generation, we are living in the exile? Which exile are we living in? So the truth is nowadays they're already going to tell you which one. The final exile. What is the final exile? So other than the Ishmael, Galut Ishmael, which is not really written there in the Midrash, but the Midrash says that there's 4 exiles. Okay, 4 exiles. And the last one is Edom. Edom meaning the second Bet HaMikdash was destroyed. And now we have Edom. What happens is that this exile of Edom is very different than all the other exiles. Why? Daniel had a dream. And in the dream of Daniel, what he saw was something very interesting. He had one dream, which was basically the 3 galuyot in order, 3 exiles in order. And then he had one dream. And in this final dream, he saw all of them together. What does that mean, all of them together? So it's something actually incredible, right? That what does that mean, all of them together? So listen carefully. He says like this. He says that the last exile of Edom will encompass all the other exiles together, but it's going to go in chronological order. So the Maharal actually comes and he explains how Nebuchadnezzar was the first exile. Remember that. And Nebuchadnezzar was after the first destruction of the Bet HaMikdash. When he came and he put his exile, that he destroyed the first Bet HaMikdash and sent us to Babylonia, to Babel, they had a certain style of how to control us and how to make us do averot and how to make us, how to be, that we are subservient to them. That was the first one. You continue going. The last one is called Melech Shel HaGoyim. Why is it called Melech HaGoyim? Because the last one is, we are going in order. The last exile right before the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash was which one? Yes. Yavan, Chazak Uruch. What do we? Chanukah. Yavan, the Greeks, was the final one right before the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash. 200 years before the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash, we had Chanukah. 200 years before the destruction. And that Galut of Yavan, there was the Yavan ideology, okay? And we're going to understand what does that mean. What was the ideology of Yavan? What did they think? Now, why is it important to know this? It's important to know this because even until today, We are living through the darkness of Yavan. Why do you think that Chanukah is a miracle of lights? Because the light is supposed to push away from the darkness. So anything that the Goyim think, usually it's always the opposite. Because they try to put darkness in this world, and we are trying to fight with light. And therefore what we have to do is understanding that even though we are in the exile of Edom, which is the final one of Esav, he was one of the Romans, that they destroyed the Bet HaMikdash, but they use the different tactics of the previous 3 exiles, and the last exile, which was Yavan, the Greeks, that is the one that we're using until today. Now, why is this very, very important? Because what is the semel? What is the symbol of what we call the Romans? Edom. What is their symbol? The symbol of Rome. What is the symbol of Rome? Anybody know?
The roses?
No? No, that's a symbol of what they had in it. But which animal? Because each one had different animals. You remember there was a bear. The last one was what does Esav symbolize? Rome. What is Esav? No.
The pork.
The pig. Chazak Baruch. The pig. Right? The pig is symbolized by Esav. Why? Esav always comes and shows that I'm kosher. How does he show that he's kosher? He shows his split hooves. That's the only thing that makes him kosher. But everything else of Esav is not kosher. If you remember, that's what we brought down. The Yaakov Avinu, when he came out of the stomach, he was grabbing the what? The heels, right? The legs of why dafka the legs? That was the only kosher part of the body of Esav. Esav represents the pig. He comes to his father, I'm kosher, I'm the best of the best, I'm a tzaddik. And really we know who he is. So therefore he's always showing who he is as if that he's the biggest tzaddik in the world. However, though, there's another reason why it's called also, right, the entire concept of chazid. Chazid is milashon chazara. It's a revision. What are you revising? We're revising the previous exiles, and he's using their tactics one by one in order to overrule us, in order to come and to destroy us. So what happens now? Do you know that there was somebody, right, and this is basically Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, he comes and he said as follows. He said that Aristotle, right, that's obviously he's the Yevani, right, the Greek and everything, he's called the father of modern civilization. Okay? So therefore, what we have to understand is that we're going to say as follows, that he started, whether it's physics, philosophy, modern psychology, everything that you want. Now, what did the Greeks start? They started making a school. What is a school? It's an institution that you come and you bring all the thoughts together. Universities, what is it? You want to universify, you want to bring everything in one, and you want to start making down. So what do you want to do? What you want to do is you want to create a false illusion. How are you doing that exactly? I'm going to come and I'm going to give you information. That's a school. You go to school, they feed you information. With all this information, you have to come, you have to memorize it, and then I'm going to come and I'm going to test you. Now with all this, what are you going to say? You have knowledge. So if you have the knowledge, you have everything that you need. Now the truth is that's exactly what they wanted to do. And for us, that's 100% false. Why? Because parents are always going to ask you, what do I do with my children? How do I fix them? Now there's going to be a problem. You know what the problem is? Do you think that we know the true answer? Every single child is different within the same family. I'm not talking about now different children from different families. And they have even twins, right? There you go. You have it here. Esav, Yaakov, and Esav, right? Where do you have the difference also in everything that you see? The same child that you could have at 4 o'clock in the afternoon is not the same one at 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the afternoon or in the evening, because they're completely different children, right? Lavdil el favdalot, right? We always tell this in the Shalom Bayit. When you get married to one woman, you're getting married to 3, right? What does that mean, right?
It's too many.
It's too many, right? How do you get married to 3? Very, very simple. A woman when she's pure, when she's not pure, when she's pregnant, because they're 3 completely different people. What does that mean, 3 completely different people? It's the same body, right? But in essence, in themselves, they're completely different. Because you could say something when they're, right, when they're fine, and there's no problem. If you say it when they're off limits, or if you're going to say it when it's a completely different world. Because again, at the end of the day, they're different people. Now, again, I just gave you the example in order for you to understand that, but every child is 100% different. And since every child is different, we cannot come and give you information and tell you, you know what, I think that for your 4-year-old girl, this is going to happen. So this actually happened once with Rav Matisyahu Solomon, that they went and there was a rabbi that came to him. He said, Rabbi, I need new techniques, right? Why? In order to give chinuch. So he went and he said, I want, whether it's methods of discipline and other things. So he went and he said like this, you don't need new tools, you need new eyes. He says, why? Because a parent who sees the child with the Torah eyes does not need tricks. Meaning that you have to go deep down into the child to understand what do they see. You have to put on their glasses. Because if you don't put on their glasses, it's impossible for us to educate them. But every child is different. So if I'm going to come and I'm going to tell you, listen, I've got a list. So now that's false. It's a false narrative. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to tell you, listen, if your child wakes up, right? Imagine right now this is going to be the story, right? The child wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? You're just going to bed and the child wakes up. And now they're crying. Why? They want to eat. So now you're going to say, one second. The rabbi just gave me a shiur on Shalom Bait, right? On Chinuch Yeladim. And he just told me, one second, what am I supposed to do? Okay, 2 o'clock in the morning. If you want, you can have a piece of bread, but make sure you go back to bed, but that's it. Right? So now the child comes and he starts doing starts screaming, jumping up and down on the walls. What are you going to do now? So one second, when they do that, what am I going to do now? It doesn't work like that. Chinuch doesn't work like a textbook. It's not that I just gave you information, and according to the information, now you're going to be able to do something. So what are you able to do then? So what we have to do is we have to try to delve a little bit deeper. What exactly are we supposed to do? And understand that many times there's going to be different scenarios. Okay? So what is then, right, a real mechanech or a mechanechet? Yeah, when we're talking about that, what is the real mechanech or mechanechet then? So he comes and he says like this. Do you know there was a story with Rav Noach Weinberg that what happened was somebody came to him and he wanted advice. So Rav Noach Weinberg went, he closed his book, and he said, give me 10 minutes, give me who you are. Explain to me who you are in 10 minutes. After telling him for 10 minutes, now he comes and he says, okay, fine, now let's start talking. Why? Because you have to understand them. Imagine right now a child comes to the principal's office, right? And the teacher comes and he says, he went and he did something wrong. Right? Again, I've got a rule book, and the rule book says, you do this, I'm going to smack you. Right? This is Fred's way. Yeah? You come, yeah, you give the talsha. Yeah, you give the palisa, as they say. Yeah, you give it to them hard.
Yeah.
Right? So now what's going to happen? Right? You didn't do anything. Why? You did something against chinuch. Because you didn't delve deep inside, and this, by the way, the women have a much greater intuition than men, because they have bina yetira, that they're able to understand. Right away they're going to say, one second, what triggered it? What caused it? What was the cause? So for example, your child comes home and you're saying, why is he so moody? What's he going? And you're going to go crazy. The mother comes and he says, who did you fight with in school? All of a sudden he breaks down. He starts saying, no, it was with this one and this and that. Now the man is thinking, Ribono Shel Olam, what just happened over here? I missed the boat. If I would have only delved a little bit deeper into the child and understood what's going on, I would have been able to help him and to diffuse, right? I would have been able to calm down the situation. What did I do? I just made it worse. Because he got me upset, I get him more upset, then we continue going. And it becomes a tug of war, and we're fighting, and I'm screaming at him because I'm the boss, and it's not true. There was something that was causing him to do this. So therefore, what we have to do is we have to step back and say, one second, we want to understand what is going on in the head of the child. What is there, right, behind there? So what we're going to say is that you always have to remove preconceived notions, which means don't assume anything. If you're going to assume whatever it is whatever you're doing exactly, so we already lost. Because the way of the Torah is, there's no assumptions. I'm going to go in, it's a clean slate. I have to hear every detail, and I have to hear what happened. Because I cannot assume this is what you did, because that's wrong. So I want to listen. So the first thing is listening. I'm going to listen. What was the scenario? What happened? What was going on? Let me listen. That's the first thing. Okay? Now, the second that I realize this, I'm going to realize that according to the Torah psychology, we always have to understand that in the neshama, there's something much deeper than that. Okay? Now, what's much deeper when we're talking about in a neshama inside of a human being? So we want that we have to change ourselves. Once we change ourselves, it's easy to change our children. Because if we come and we change ourselves to live a certain standard or live a certain lifestyle, then for them it's going to be very easy to understand and in order to educate them. Okay, until here we're clear or not? Yes?
I mean, they have this behavior because of us, or?
The majority of the times they have the behavior because of us, which means we are the root of the problem, not them.
And the woman say always yes to the kids.
That's
the
not
man
true.
say always no.
Really?
Most of the time.
Okay.
They
So,
always thinking they make you feel like they tell them.
Kol
no.
hakavod, she's defending the wife very.
And they always
No,
say
but I'm
yes.
gonna tell you like
They
this.
always say, oh,
I
don't
will
be
tell you
for
that it is actually 100%. What you just did now was 100% for the shiur to show that it's incorrect. Why? Many times you have the husband that he's the softy, and the wife is the hard cookie, the tough cookie. And sometimes you have the exact opposite, right? And sometimes it depends for what.
Yes.
Meaning, sometimes the husband, if you're going to mess with his phone or with his computer or with something, oh, you're going to see the no and the yes. And sometimes it's the mother, if it's going to be something about cleanliness or clean or the homework or so therefore, again, you cannot characterize and you cannot say what it is for one or for the other because it always changes. Right? It will always change. Yeah? Okay, until here? Okay. We're going to continue. What is the goal of the shiur then? Okay, it's not to come and to give you an instruction book, because we already explained it's impossible to give an instruction book, but if we were all the same, so then yeah, I could give you an instruction book, we're all robots, right? Touch this button and then that's it. But it doesn't work like that. Every child, you could touch the wrong button and it completely changes them. Right? And even the same child, depends what time, they also have different buttons. Therefore, you have to know how to play. So therefore, what we have to just understand is that it's very dangerous to come and say that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he gave us a child or a challenge, we have to overcome that. So what we have to do is, we have to internalize this message and understand, so 1 second, what are we supposed to be doing? So number one, how do you give itzot? How do you give advice? So do you know that Gaon of Vilna says something incredible? He says, Teshua berov yoetz. What does that mean? Salvation will come with a lot of advice. So what does that mean exactly? So the majority of people, they come and they say, what are you talking about? If you come and you ask 4 different people their opinions, what happens? We just come out more confused. So what does that mean then? So he says, it doesn't say, right, yoatzim. It says, Teshua berov yoetz. Teshua berov yoetz means I'm going to ask, right? We say marbe etza, marbe bina. What does it mean? When you have a lot of advice, you're going to have more understanding. What does that mean? Many times we are looking in a certain glasses, and therefore, since we're looking in our glasses, we don't see how it looks on the other side. When you start asking for advice, you listen to one person and they give you advice. You listen to a second person and a third person. Now you could sit down calmly and say, 1 second, do you know what this person said? He was 100% correct about A, but maybe he didn't know the full story. But whatever he did say about this certain concept, he's correct. The other one, he looked at it completely differently. And now what you do is you try to put them together in order to come and to get your result. Which means that the more advice that you're going to have, the better that it is. Why is it that you should have, for example, a lot of different advice, right? You want a board, right? Why do you want a lot of people on a board, right? You have more comments, you have more brains. More brains doesn't mean that there's going to be more correct, but when they all come together to form one, you all say, you know what, 1 second, I just heard A, B, C, D. Maybe it's a little bit of A, a little bit of C, a little bit of E. I don't think it's because of B, because of whatever it is, and because of D. But now you come, you're able to come and put a complete picture in front of you. And therefore, it's very, very important for us just to understand that number one, a good advisor, he's going to reflect, he's going to listen to everything that's happening, and only after listening to everything, then he can give you an advice according to what you need. Okay? Fine. Now what happens is as follows. Okay? There's a myth. You know what a myth is? There's a mistake that people think. Imagine right now you have 2 girls that are going to be taking a huge exam. And the exam is going to be now, in November, end of November, right before, there's going to be exams. So, you've got 2 different girls. One girl comes and she says to herself, listen, I'm going to close myself in my room for 2 hours. I'm going to learn, I'm going to study. And then afterwards I could come and I could do everything that I want. But before she does that, what happens is that she starts baking cookies. Why? She wants the cookies for later, right? Then she comes and she calls her friends and she tells them, by the way, I'm not going to be available for the next 2 hours because, right, I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be busy studying. She calls her 4 friends and tells them that. But then while in the middle, what happens is again, she's going to call them again to make sure she's not missing out on the fun. And then by the time that it comes out to it, right, it comes that it's almost midnight and she didn't even sit down to study. So that's one girl. The second girl, she comes and she does exactly what she was supposed to do. She came to her room, turned off the phone, studied for 2 hours. After 2 hours of diligently studying everything that she can, she comes out. She's still able now to talk to her friends, to bake, to do whatever she wants. But when she goes to sleep and she's ready for the next morning, she already studied her 2 hours. What makes the 2 different girls? What's the difference in the 2 different girls?
One, she cannot focus.
Which one?
One's more disciplined than the other.
Disciplined. Anything else? Everybody agrees with that? It's all discipline?
No, it's just focus. Someone cannot focus.
Personalities.
Happier.
But that's a character.
Happier.
Some people
So I'm
are
actually
creative.
glad, and the reason why I had to make sure that after having the answer of Mrs. Pichillo, that I was actually the correct answer, I first had to get the wrong answer. So let's go back to the wrong answer. So what's the myth? The myth is that it comes by personalities. Right? Personalities, what does that mean? This child is not studious, the other one is studious, and then that's it. So it all has to do with what? Personalities. This child is one way, the other child is going to be the other way, and that's it. But, right, that's what people think, but according to Hashkafa, it's 100% incorrect. Not 90%, 100% sheker v'chazav, completely incorrect. It happened once with Rav Shach that a boy couldn't wake up. So the father complained to Rav Shach. He says, listen, he has no willpower. He doesn't, it's his nature. What do you want? He's a lazy boy. What do you want? Rav Shach answered, he said, there's no such thing as a nature of not waking up. It's called a habit. He comes and he says, slowly train him step by step to wake up early. And every single time a little bit earlier, and every single time to be on top of it. 6 months later, the boy was always waking up on time. He never slept through again. Why? It has to do with discipline. Nothing to do with personalities. Because a personality, at the end of the day, especially with this, is nothing, it doesn't even start. So what is the true view? The will, right? A will of a person, the willpower, what you want to do is not something biological. It's not something like your eye color. This one wants to or not wants to. It's an expression of chinuch. When you come and you educate in a certain way, so then you're able to do that. Where do you learn that? From General Motors. Do you know that the Japanese, right? And the reason why we have to bring General Motors and then we're going to bring Elon Musk, again, is the same reason, because since we're living in the Edom Shebi Yavan, we're forced to bring these things, right? Because we're forced to come and say, if they understand it, so it has to be true. But it comes from the Torah. But listen very carefully. The Japanese, after World War II, they had tons of factories. All their factories was making weapons. Obviously, America doesn't want Japan making weapons. So now they have to change. And what are they going to do? They changed their factories to car factories. So they made all the cars. And the thing is, but they don't know how. So they come and they start learning. What happens is, after a little while, they come and they started investing millions of dollars to study which workers succeeded and which didn't. Now they realized that it didn't make sense, because you had a lot of people that they were changing tires and doing these things, and all of a sudden they're at the top, and they're managers and they're doing all these things, and the question is, but they're not even smart. So how did they get up there? There has to be something here. And you know what they found out? That what? It was self-discipline. Self-discipline means that they're able to come and they're disciplined, right? They know 8 o'clock is 8 o'clock. They know that eating is eating. They know that everything has to be with a discipline. So since everything is with a discipline, that's how they succeeded. Now, the reason why we also bring is because there was somebody that once came to the rabbi, and he told the rabbi, listen, right, you speak a different language for me. But, so he wanted to help this guy, and he comes and he says, you know what, I want you to be successful. So he says, yeah, but who's successful? Elon Musk. So he went and he said, okay, fine. So he checked on Google. What does Elon Musk say the most important factor of being successful is? And what did he say? Self-discipline. The exact same thing. Which means that you realize that the Torah is actually coming and teaching us, right? That what? That the key, right? We're talking about the key factor of anything is the capacity for consistent self-discipline. Which means that if you're going to discipline yourself and discipline your children, discipline everything, you're going to have success in everything. Okay? Very simple. Fine. Now, what is the Torah's agreement in this? The Torah says this in Na'aseh v'nishma. And we're going to explain this in a few minutes. How does Na'aseh v'nishma come into discipline and come into what we're talking about? But we're going to explain as follows. Okay?
It's a bit scary because nowadays we see, like, compared to when we were raised, there was a lot of discipline in school. Couldn't stand up, couldn't go to the bathroom, you couldn't have a sip of water, drink. And here you see, like, the kids, like, they kind of like do. They're able to do whatever they want in the school.
That's what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is that was the last week's Dvar Torah, if you remember, that we said in the Ikvat of the Mashiach, in the time of the Mashiach, the son is going to go against the father, the daughter-in-law against the mother-in-law, the daughter against the mother. Now why? Because if you look there in Rashi, it means that they're going to lose authority. They're going to lose what's called that there's no authority anymore. Why are you losing authority? Because if you see that the authority on the top is garbage, right? So therefore, why in the world would you ever do that? You will always see it. I'm going to tell you something. I lived almost 7 years in Gibraltar. If you knew what it was, the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth II of England, you just had to mention her name and the people's jaw were like, there was awe. Here, I remember I was walking up. Now remember, I came from Canada, so she was only just on the loonie, right? On the dollar coin. There was nothing else.
$20,
huh?
$20,
Yeah, the $20, but on the loonie was amazing. A little kid. What are you gonna have? You're gonna have a loonie, not even a toonie. Toonies didn't exist. You have a loonie. So you have a loonie. So what do you have? You have the Queen. That's all that you have. That's what I was always. So okay, we're part of the British Commonwealth. That's what Canada is. Okay, fine. But in Gibraltar, I remember going up once, driving up, and over here, this is where Queen Elizabeth II overlooked the entire Strait of Gibraltar. And Mamash, you look at it, and there's awe. There's something there. You go nowadays and you look at these people, you're like,
You're like, who cares? But it's not their job.
So one more time. So now he says like this. So what happens now is we're going to learn a Mishnah Navot. The Mishnah Navot says when you have the Chokhmato Meruba Mima'asav. So the Mishnah says that when you have too much Chokhmah, but you don't have actions. So what does that compare to? To a tree that you got a lot of leaves, but there's no roots. What happens? The wind comes and it blows it away. Why does it blow it away? You know why it blows it away? Very, very simple. Because what happens is that the leaves, they start acting like a sail. If you have a boat, what do you have in the olden days? You had a sail. The sail was when you have the wind pushing, right? According to where they would put the sail, that's the direction where they're going to be going. The same thing, when you have so many leaves, but there's no roots, automatically it just pulls out the tree because there's no roots. So therefore it's just going to use as a sail and it's just going to pull it out. So now what happens is, it's going to create instability. And therefore what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to learn and we're supposed to apply it to make the roots, the foundations. Now, how do we do exactly foundations? So, by the way, this is where they're very, very against people learning Kabbalah before they're fitting for learning Kabbalah. You don't know how much, I see it in the Bet Knesset all the time. I have people that, Rabbi, instead of listening to your shiur, we're going to take a Sifrat Tzniuta, we're going to go in the corner, we're going to start learning. I was going to tell the person, but again, I can't offend him, so I'm not allowed to. But I was going to tell him, Hamor, I don't understand. You don't know Aleph Bet. You're learning Sifrat Tzniuta? Right? You're trying to learn Kabbalah before you know Aleph Bet. You don't even know Aleph Bet. You don't even know Chumash. You're going to come and learn that when you're 40 and you learned all of Chumash, all of Tanakh, all of Shas, all of Gemara, all of Poskim, and now you want to learn Kabbalah. So fine, you've got roots. But how in the world do you want to come and learn if you don't have the roots? So now, now why? Because it's interesting. It's very interesting. It's something hocus pocus. It sounds good. So I'm going to go to a Kabbalah center and I'm going to learn. And that is what the Mishnah is telling you when you have too many leaves, but with no roots. There's nothing there. So what's going to happen? It's going to destroy you. So therefore, what we have to be very, very careful about is building the roots very strong in order that no matter what's going to happen, it'll never be able to pull us over. Because once you have the strong roots, there's nothing that's going to take you down. So fine. 2 pillars of Chinuch. We already learned this last week, if you remember, 2 pillars of Chinuch. Unconditional love, which means again, the Yamim Karev, which means that we are going to come and give love, and authority and discipline. Okay? Discipline means that they're going to come and they're going to listen to us. Now, authority, in essence, is something which is calm. Okay? Because if they truly carry authority, the child will listen to me and therefore they're going to practice discipline. So now I'm going to say like this. What is the goal exactly? So now it goes like this. Authority creates, right, something very, very calm. What does that mean? You know, the Alter of Kelem, he once walked into a classroom. The children, they were all screaming, jumping up and down. He walked in, he didn't say a word. He simply entered the room calmly, right? And within seconds, total silence. He straightened his jacket. He was waiting there. He just stopped. Everyone was quiet. One of the students, they come and they asked him, Rabbi, how did you do that? He went and he said, when a person is disciplined inside, his presence in itself teaches more than shouting will ever teach. Meaning we think that if you raise your voice, that's called discipline. That's incorrect. You never have to raise your voice to discipline. You have to say it firmly. Firm means strong. But you don't have to raise your voice. Don't think that because you scream, right, that you're going to come and get listened to. That's incorrect. They hear you're screaming, but that means that you're not an authority. Because you have to scream in order to get it out. You will realize the people that have true authority, they will not scream. They will never raise their voice. Firm, but very calm. They won't lose their temper. They will not lose their anger. So now what happens is there's going to be something very important, which we want to raise emotionally healthy adults. And in order to do that, we have to give authority. But now there's going to be something which is called fake authority, which is actually, we call it love, and it's actually really be'emet, fake rachmanut. And I'll give you the example, right? Fred brought down the pasuk before, chosech beno, right? Chosech shifto soneh beno. What does that mean exactly? If you're going to withhold the stick from your son, so you hate your son, right? Now what happens exactly? Not that he actively hates him, but he's putting his own emotional comfort above the child. So for example, right, I come and I tell the child, I'm not going to give you the candy now. What do they start doing? They start crying. So what are you going to do? You're going to give them the candy. Now why are you giving them the candy? He said, because why? Because I love them too much. Correct? If I love them too much, I have to give them the candy. But that's not true. What happens is that I think I want them to love me, and therefore by giving them this candy, what I ultimately just did, I broke authority. Because now he says, I don't need to listen to you. All I have to do is I have to cry, whine, and by crying, I get whatever I wanted. Right? That's what happened. I cried a little bit, and that's all I had to do. And now I get whatever I wanted. But rather, be'emet, you can't do that. So therefore, what are you supposed to do? You have to come and you have to love the child, but that you don't put your emotions over, because that means you're loving yourself, not loving the child. Where do we see the same concept? We saw this by Hagar. I don't know if you remember, we spoke about this 2 or 3 years ago. Hagar comes and she's taking Ishmael. Ishmael is sick. So they were thrown out of the house of Avraham Avinu, and on the way, all of a sudden what happens? He's sick. She doesn't know what's going to happen to him. What does she do? She puts him underneath a bush, and then she goes further away. Why does she do that? She can't stand to hear him cry, which means that she's putting, right, her own emotions. Right now the child is suffering. The child's dying, but she can't hear him cry. So what is she going to do? She's going to put him on the corner, and as long as I don't hear you, it's okay. But 1 second, that means you love the child or you love yourself? That means you love yourself. You don't love the child. Because if you would love your child, you would let them cry. Imagine right now I want to come and I want to give a shot to the child, an injection. What is it? Whatever, measles, whatever it is, something good, and that hopefully it's not going to cause autism and everything else. So I come and I'm going to give them a shot, right? Now what happens? The child comes and the baby starts crying. So you're going to say, you know what, doctor, just don't do it. Why? I love the child too much. So since I love the child too much, don't do it. What does that mean? If you love the child, you would make sure that they're going to cry. You're going to give them the shot because you know that this is good for them. The only thing is, you love yourself too much that it's rahmanut. It's fake. It's not real love, because really, be'emet, if you would love them, you would do that. Some people, they call that harsh love, but whichever way is the way you want to call it, the concept behind it though is that we have to understand that we have to do the best for the child. They once went to Rabbi Yashiv, and the father went and he said that he wasn't able to show this love, right, for his child. So Rabbi Yashiv went and he told him, he paskent him. So then just take him out for adoption. He said, what? What are you talking about? He said, take him out for adoption. He says, you can never have a child in your house that you hate. If you have resentment, if you feel resentment to a child, you can't grow up that child. So therefore, you have to put him up. You have to take him out. It's impossible. You have to love the child no matter what. Okay? That's very, very important. Yes?
You do Shalom Beit after the show.
Okay, fine. 100%.
When you say no, you say yes.
100%. You're right. Well, we'll have to go back to that as well. Fine, let's continue. When we're going to come and now speak about tonight, listen to this story. Yeah? Listen to this. There was a 20-year-old boy that the parents, right, the mother calls up the rabbi. She says, Rabbi, I have a dilemma. What's the dilemma? My husband. Okay, what's the dilemma? So the dilemma is that the husband is going to buy their 20-year-old son a car. Okay, pamal. So no. So what's the problem? No, the problem is that there was going to be, right, there was a deal. So he says, okay, so what was the deal? The deal is that he had to go to Shachrit every single morning for the past 6 months. So he says, okay, did he follow the deal? No. So he says, so why are you going to give him the car? No, because I made him a deal. Okay, but 1 second, let's ask the child. Did you follow the deal? No. So why in the world are you going to give him the car if he didn't follow the deal? Right? It just doesn't make sense. Right? This actually also happened with Rav Moshe Feinstein, a 19-year-old. He went and he said, my father's not going to buy me a car. And all my friends have a car. So Rav Moshe replied and he said, your father is giving you a gift much greater than the car. You know what it is? He's teaching you that in life, you have to earn things. Okay, and when you earn it, that's when you're going to get it. So what exactly was he? So he said 20 years later, the man said that Rav Moshe, that one moment changed his entire financial and emotional life. Because he realized that from now on, he has to earn something. It just doesn't come like that. I'm going to buy you a car. For what? Why? Why in the world would I buy you something? So what we have to understand is that authority is that it's going to have a long-lasting effect, right? Which is going to be much in the future. Now, the same thing happens with chocolate. Did it ever happen? We already said the story with the child, but the same thing with the chocolate. Imagine right now, girl's crying, she wants right now chocolate, right? The parents say no, oh, okay, fine, just have one. That just have one, or that whatever it was, you just broke the entire thing. There's no authority, because they saw that they could break all the rules. So again, that's why nowadays we don't have authority. So if you don't have that, what happens is that this pattern is now going to appear all throughout life. Whether it's going to be work, marriage, mitzvot. Why? It's not going to be good for me, so now I'm not going to do it today. Right? But if you're steadfast, self-disciplined, you have it. So that's it. So now, we're going to give you 6 reasons, 6 gifts of discipline. Okay? There's going to be 6 reasons why discipline is so important. Okay? So we're going to start. And this is where we're starting. Number 1, Yirat Shamayim. What is Yirat Shamayim exactly? Rav Eli Lopian came and he said an incredible mashal. Listen to this parable. Rav Eli Lopian said that there was a person that he went in Russia, they were going on trains. Now, especially in many different places, we know that when they're going on a train, right, you have to go from one city to another. There could be miles and miles that there's nothing. It was in the middle of the winter, and what happened was that the train stopped at a station, but it wasn't the real station that you're supposed to get off. But our friend, he didn't realize that, and he got off the station. And all of a sudden, the train just left. Now, he's there, and he doesn't realize that the trains come back once a week. So now he's stuck in the middle of nowhere, in the freezing cold, and the next train is coming in 1 week. So obviously, he's going to start doing vidui, and thinking to himself, what's he going to do? No food, no drinks, right? No nothing. In order to get the water, you have to have a pitch axe, to start coming and cracking the water. What's he going to do? He's got nothing what to do. So he says, you know what, you might as well just walk a little bit. So he starts walking. He walks into a forest area, and all of a sudden he sees a hut. So he says, okay, fine. Who's going to be living in a forest? Right? So he thinks to himself, he's afraid. Should he go and knock on the door or not? Mitzad echad, he says, if I'm going to knock on the door, maybe they might have some mercy on me and actually give me something. Mitzad sheni, I could be the next supper. Right? I don't know what these guys are. Right? You don't know what these guys are. In the middle of a forest, in the middle of nothing, a hut. What's going to happen? So he comes and he goes to the door and his heart is pounding. Because he knows very, very well, all it could be is open up, and usually in the forest, they're usually spooky people, right? They're not creepy people. They're not the most nicest people living in the middle of the forest. So he comes, he's going to knock on the door. His heart is pounding. He knocks, he knocks. No answer. He continues knocking. He's starting louder, anybody home? Until finally he's knocking so hard that the door opens. It creaks open. So he looks in. Nothing. So he starts thinking to himself, what should I do? He looks and all of a sudden he sees on the table, there's a jug of water. And he starts thinking to himself, wow, I hit America. I found America, right? Eureka. Why? Look what I found. So all of a sudden, he starts thinking, okay, so he opens up a little bit more the door, continues knocking. Anybody home? Somebody here? Now he starts looking and he doesn't know what to do. Why? He's going to start, tiptoeing as if to say, to the water, because he doesn't know what's going to happen. That all of a sudden he might just turn around and somebody's going to start screaming at him, who are you? What are you doing here? Right? And what are you taking? What are you stealing? What are you doing? So he's trembling. He doesn't know what to do. All of a sudden, finally, he gets to the water, right? And he realizes there's a piece of paper, a letter. The letter says, dear guest, we know that you're here for the next week. Take anything that you need from the fridge or the water, but just on one condition. You have to mop the floor, clean the floor. The guy thinks, I don't know. So now, in such a scenario, right, he says, even this person is going to clean the floor, right, more than any OCD woman will do on Erev Pesach. Meaning, if you're going to tell me that a woman on Erev Pesach is going to be on floor, scrubbing the floors, making sure everything's clean, this guy will clean this floor, right? Mamash, he's going to lick the floor clean. There's nothing. Now, why? What happened? He realizes that really, be'emet, nobody owes him anything. He realizes that there's a boss, that there's somebody on top. And he's realizing that what? That I could be thrown out at any moment. So therefore he says, that is Yirat Shamayim. Yirat Shamayim means that I realize that there's a boss in the world, that there's a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and I have to answer to him. He owes me nothing. Overnight he could just take it away, and we're not here. And there's nothing left. So therefore what we have to do is when he gives us, right, this entire concept, it's not something that you could learn in a textbook. I cannot explain to you, and I tell you, you have to have Yirat Shamayim. It doesn't exist. It's a sensation, it's a feeling. I can't give you that feeling. If I want to tell you right now, be happy, you're going to fake smile. But it doesn't work. So what does that mean? I cannot give you a feeling. You have to grow with it. How do you grow with Yirat Shamayim? Only with discipline, with authority. Because when the children realize, and that's what, it's actually the reason of how do you call this? Of Kibud Avayim, by the way. The reason of Kibud Avayim, right, is actually the reason why we have to respect our parents, is in order that we respect HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the only purpose. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, if we do not come and respect or fear our parents, we cannot respect and fear HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It just doesn't work. It's hand in hand. It's the first 5 of the 10 commandments, because it's on the side of the interpersonal relationship between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because if you don't fear or you don't respect your parents, it's impossible to fear or respect HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when I'm going to come and I'm going to put authority in my house, the rule number 1, the benefit, if I'm going to tell you right now, the gift that I'm giving you is, I'm giving my child Yirat Shamayim. And the reason why is because some people, they don't have that, but they never had authority. So if you're going to tell them now, Hashem is watching you. Okay, fine, but my parents were also watching me, but I did whatever I wanted anyway, so I'm going to do whatever I want. And then if it's good for me, so maybe I might listen to them. If it's not, I won't listen to them, because I always did anyway what I wanted. So therefore, but if you're going to come and you're going to bring them up in a certain way, they're going to be born up here, a much higher level, because they already have that authority that they understand. The world is not hefker, right? The world is not ownerless. There's a boss, there's somebody on top. He's the one that I have to answer to. He's the one that's controlling everything, and that I have to actually answer up to him. Rav Shlomo Zalman once had a mother that she complained, that she came to him and she said, listen, my son's not listening to me. He doesn't even move. So Rav Shlomo Zalman went to the boy and he told him in a very nice language, but he went and he said like this: when a Jewish mother speaks, her words carry Kiddusha. It's like the words of Hashem that he's talking to you, because Hashem put her in order to guide you in this world. And therefore immediately what happened? The child started listening, because he realized that once you give authority, a child will automatically listen. Right? That's the way it is. Right? Fine. So now what happens is that the first thing that we have to understand is that, again, in order for us to get Yirat Shamayim, and if we don't do this, it's going to be a problem. The second one, so first one, Yirat Shamayim. Second one, number 2, self-confidence and decision making.
Just one question about
Yes. The recording just went. I want you to try. When you take a child, a 4-year-old, right? They did something wrong. So now, if they do something wrong, what are you going to tell me? Give them a trecha. So come and slap them up. I'm going to tell you like this. Do you know? Take their hand. Give me your hand. Right? By the way, I just did authority. Why in the world should he listen to me? He's older than me. Why should he even listen to me? But I showed authority. Listen carefully. Take his hand and do like this. I'm going to tell you, they're going to cry the exact same way. Now, did you actually hurt them? I didn't hit him. If not, he would call the cops. Right? I didn't hit him. I hit myself. That's all you need to do. You hit yourself. You don't even have to hit them. For them, their mind, you just hit them. And it hurts them. But you didn't actually do anything to them. You did not touch them. Now again, obviously a 10-year-old, you can't do that, right? Because they understand. But if you do that to a 4-year-old, you don't even have to hit them. Mamash, you do not have to even lay a finger on them. You do that, they start crying like a baby. And you're thinking, wow, I want you to go home and I'm going to try it. Okay? Not for no reason. Right? It has to be for a reason. But remember, when you're going to do it, you're going to take it, you're going to do it, you're going to realize you're going to cry the exact same way.
But Rabbi, it's very hard to give this, to be fair without the hands.
A true Moroccan speaking. Fine? A true Moroccan speaking. You could tell you were born in Morocco, that's for sure. 100%. But, no, okay, fine.
No, but my kids, even I said no, I'm looking at them. No, they're not afraid.
So I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna learn tonight how to do it. Give me another few minutes, but I'm gonna try to quicken it up. We're gonna learn tonight how to do it. And I'm going to tell you, I'm gonna also teach you something, right, which is very, very important. One of the things that we're going to learn it has nothing to do with you. So for example, right, I'm going to right now come and I'm gonna tell my child to do something that I know they're not gonna listen. I know they're not gonna listen, but I should still tell it to them. Why? Right?
Go to sleep.
Yeah. Why? Because what happens is that by you coming and saying it, you're exerting authority. Now, if you're going to get upset and you're going to start screaming but they're not listening to you, you made it personal. It's not supposed to be personal.
But you're learning to them that even I'm saying something, it's okay if I'm not.
No. It's not true. Because you will realize that sooner or later, they will listen. But we're going to see how. 1 second. Okay, 1 second.
Should I take an example?
Which one? You want an example? Oh, fine. Right? Story. Yeah? A story. This is a 60-year-old person. He calls you up. He says, what suit should I buy? The blue one or the black one? You're going to say, Ribono Shel Olam, what do I care? Take the blue one. No, but which one? He can't make a decision. Why doesn't he make a decision? The reason why he can't make a decision, right, is because, again, he was never had parents that they gave him a commitment, right? You commit, you do something, you do it. And therefore you're able to make a decision. If you're always going to be like this, that means you don't have a decision. So if you make a decision, and this is what we were speaking about before with, where's Steve? Right? When we spoke about the entire concept of what? Of once you take the decision, there's nothing what's going to change. Okay, and that's what's very, very, very important. Okay? Later in life, he says, for example, there's something which is incredible, which is called buyer's remorse. Do you know in New Jersey there's a law, you could buy a car, and after a certain amount of time, you could give it back. Why? Buyer's remorse. You regretted it. What does that mean? Right? Huh?
Not even 11?
Not even the lemon rule. The lemon rule makes sense. Right? But this, buyer's remorse. What is that? I decided to give it back. Why did you decide to give it back? You bought something, live with it. That's it. You have to live with the mistake. No matter what. That's the way that it has to be. Number 3, okay, and by the way, you should know, right? People, they come and they get married and they're sorry who they married. How many people have that? Statistics that they get married and then they're sorry that they got married to that person.
Yeah, I'm sorry
Right?
every day.
Okay, so very good. Hey, do you know that it's 82% of people? Yeah, you heard? 82% of people. Yeah? Yeah? 82% of people, they did it. Fine, let's go. Next. Anxiety. Number 3, anxiety. What's called core security and mental health. Anxiety. People are going to come. Huh? It didn't work? Oh. Yeah? Should I show you? Yeah? So it goes like this. Right? Right? It says like this. People, they have anxiety. Why do they have anxiety? They're nervous, right? They're a little bit, right? How do you say it? Buldener. Yeah? Buldener. So now the question is why? Why are people anxious? Why do they have anxiety? So the reason why is because they don't realize that they don't have structure in their life and they never had authority. So therefore, since they don't have that, what happens is that if they didn't have discipline, they lose out. So what happened? There was a study that they made, right, on terminally ill patients. People that, Rahman al-Islam bar minan, they're going to go. So what happens is they come and they wanted to make a study how many people survive. So there was 7% that survived. So they went and they wanted to take a common denominator, right? What is going to cause, like what is the root behind what makes them survive? And it's something incredible that happened, right? The fascinating answer is that people that have deep faith. What does that mean? If people, right, people that they give up on themselves and they give up, there's nothing what to do. But if they have a faith that they can get out of it, that in itself is strong enough to get them out. Modern science, listen to this. Medical science is if someone does exercise, telling themselves that they're going to lose weight, they lose more weight than if they just did the exercise. One more time, I'm going to repeat. If you're right now going to exercise, and when you're doing the exercise, you're telling yourself, I'm exercising to lose weight, automatically you're going to lose more weight than what it is if you just did the exercise. Meaning you did the exact same amount of exercise. But the fact that you put it in your mind that I'm doing this in order to lose weight, that's going to affect what's going on in your brain. You're going to lose weight because you put it in your mind. You put it in your brain. And therefore, normal anxieties is actually something normal. What does that mean? I'll say normal. Nightmares. Where does nightmares come from? Nightmares comes from that the children, they're afraid. Why are they afraid? It's something very, very natural why they're afraid. Do you know when a baby comes into this world, right? They were all cozy, and all of a sudden somebody bothers them, and they come out into this world. It's all loud, right? You have doctors this screaming, this, that, you know, the mother screaming, everyone's screaming, right? What happens? What happens is that it's all noisy. They hate it. They have a fear. They're born into something of fear. That's the way the baby is. The baby is egocentric, only thinking about himself. And then what happens is that this baby wants that somebody should be protecting them. So when a child has a nightmare, what are you supposed to do? So obviously you should never wake them up, right? Why? Because then what's going to happen is they have to relive it again. So if a child is having a nightmare, you don't wake them up. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to come to them, you're supposed to cuddle them up and show that in their sleep, I'm here for you. We love you. We're always here. We're here to protect you. They finish their, their episode, right? And then that's it. And it finished with it. Now, why is that? Because the child needs protection. They need somebody strong. When the parents are weak, because we come and we destroy our parents, because I tell my parents, I want to go to the shul. And I tell my parents, I want to go to this place. And I tell my parents, I want to do this. Now they control the parents. The parent becomes the child, and the child becomes the parent. So then, they don't feel security. They don't feel anything. So then they get anxiety. Why do they get anxiety? Because then they don't feel, they're the parents and I'm the child. So 1 second, what are we doing now? Right? So that's a problem, because then the children are the ones that they're constantly coming and telling us what to do. Okay? Another one, which is going to be very, very important, is there's going to be less fighting and more of a calm home. The reason why is because whenever you have conflicts and fights between each other, it's going to be a problem. So what do? When you have authority, they know there's one boss. Right? The worst thing that you could have is you have a managing company right? Or you have, whether it's going to be a Bet Knesset, or you're going to have a place where you have 7 bosses. Why? Every boss tells you something different, so therefore it's a free-for-all. So therefore there's no control. If there's no control, there's nothing there, right? If there's nothing there, obviously there's no success, there's nothing here. What do you want? The house has to have control. Why? There's going to be less fights. Because if you're going to come and you're going to have, so we're all bosses, so that's a problem. By the way, this happens many times with the children. Sometimes the older children, they want to step in for the mommy. And then all of a sudden they come and they start telling the other children what to do. Many times the parents have to remind the children, you have to remember, I'm the boss. That's not for you to do. You could help out, but they have to remember, I'm the one in charge. It's not for you to do it. I'm the one that's supposed to be giving the orders. Number 5, okay, is going to be success in life. That was the General Motors and everything. When you give discipline and authority to children, what's going to happen? They're going to have success. The majority of all people will have success when they have them. The last one is a clear identity. What does that mean? When you know who you are, right? So everything changes. So I gave you a few. Let's say, for example, a few different stories. I'll give you just to explain, right? For example, the Stipler, he came and he told parents, you think that screaming teaches authority. It teaches fear. Authority is quiet and firm. Fear is loud and weak. When you're afraid, what do? You scream. Why do you scream? Right? Because again, that's fear. That's not authority. Authority is very firm and quiet. You won't even hear them. It says that when the king comes, it's hush silence. Why is it hush silence? It's the opposite. Everyone should be, because when true authority comes in, you're humbled. You're awe. You don't talk. Right? There's nothing there.
You don't talk because if you speak, it gets your head.
100%. So the same thing with the children. The same thing with the children. 100%. You don't have to cut off their head, but the same thing with children, that they know that there's authority. Now, again, it does not mean that you have to actually exert your authority. Do you know that every single time if a king would come in, he doesn't have to cut his head, right? But they fear of him right away. You're right. Once in a while, he has to do it just to make everybody else afraid. I do agree with that. So I never said never to hit. I never said that. But if a person is going to tell me that I have to hit the entire time, it's wrong, because that means he's only instilling fear in the child until finally the child gets old enough and he's going to hit you back. Right? And then we get into a problem. So once upon a time, maybe a child would have hit you back at the age of 22, right? But nowadays, even a child of 10 years old could already start hitting you back. Now what do you do? Now you're going to start a fight with your child? Right? What are you going to do? So obviously, we have to understand. Okay? During World War II, this is a story with the Klausenberger Rebbe, right? A child disobeyed him and he wandered off. So he went to him and he told him, by the way, you should know, he said, when you wander off and you're lost, once upon a time it was dangerous. Now during war, it's deadly. The child never left him. He was like his ghost. He was like his shadow. He always went with him. Why? He told him in a very calm way, but he told him with authority, you cannot leave my side. You have to be beside me all the time. Okay? In Siberia, there was a prisoner, right, who always woke up early. He worked hard and survived better. If Galinsky asked him, what's the secret? He went and he said, my father always demanded discipline, and he taught me not to give to myself, and that's why I actually saved my life. Okay? Fine. Now, in order to continue, we're going to say like this. This is where we get to the Maaseh. This is the main part of the shiur. What are you supposed to do? So number 1, never say if. Yeah? Never say if. The word if is brainwashing. I'll give you the example. If you come and you do your homework, I'm going to give you a candy. And if you don't do your homework, right? I'm going to go on the negative now. If you don't do your homework, you're not coming with us on Sunday to the, whatever it is, the outing. Right? The if is wrong.
Why?
Why? Huh? Why is if wrong? You know why if is wrong? What does if mean? If means it gives them an option. If is giving them if you do this or if you do that. Not if. You are doing this. No when. You give a command. Do. Yeah? You understand? Do. That's all they have to do. Yeah? That's all that it is. Okay? You have to give a command. That's number 1. Look, okay? Every if means that you don't really need to listen. Right? So for example, this actually happened, something incredible. Right? He went and he said, right? Eitan, give me your phone. You didn't even think. Again, if I come and I give you something, right? I come and I tell you something, you didn't even... Huh?
It's not working like that.
It doesn't work like that.
No, it's not working like that when I'm saying the same thing.
Okay. So maybe you're not that authoritative. Yeah? Maybe he's not that authoritative. By the way, you purposely use the phone because that's the most thing that you protect over. So again, that's the first thing. Give me yourself. You have to come and say a command. Very firm. Very firm. By the way, they did this. Do you know that a rabbi did this in a shiur to an elderly man? And he went and he told him, pick up the paper. So what happened was, the elderly man actually went and started picking up the paper. He went and said, sorry. He said, I don't want to be disrespectful. Right? The only reason why he did it is he says, by humans, by nature, they want authority. They want that there should be a rule. So he went and he said this rabbi something very interesting. He said, sometimes it happens, he's got his pen, he purposely pushes off the pen, off the table, right? Purposely. When the son's not watching, and he asks his son, can you pick up my pen, please? Purposely. Right? Can you give me a shot glass? The wife tells you, I don't want to drink anything. No, but I want her to get you a shot glass. You don't have to tell that to her. Why? You're giving commands. When you're giving commands, you're showing authority. So what you're supposed to be doing is that you have to come and you're going to give a command, right? No deals, bribes, or threats, right? If you're going to come and you're going to make a deal, you're going to make a bribe, right? I want to bribe you. A threat, you're done. There's nothing what to do, right? Again, one more time. No deals, bribes, threats. No ifs, okay? No explaining or begging. Why? When I explain, right, Labriut, when I explain something, before you do it, when I explain, what does that show? When I explain to you something, it shows weakness. It shows weakness. So for example, I'm going to come and I'm going to tell you, listen, by the way, you should know, I really think you should go to bed, but I don't want you to miss out on the fun, but I really think that you should go to bed, because if not, you're going to be exhausted for tomorrow. So what am I showing? I'm showing weakness. Right? Imagine right now I'm going to tell you and I want to convince you to be Shomer Shabbat. And I tell you, by the way, you should know, I really think you should. You have to come with a command. No explaining.
But she will be frustrated.
So now what? I'm going to tell you something. A secret. Na'aseh v'nishma. I told it to you at the beginning of the shiur until you're going to come back to it. Now we're going to come back to it. What is na'aseh v'nishma? When I come, I give you a command. If you first have the nishma before the na'aseh, I lost out. I ruined it. Why did I ruin it? Because now it's not a command. I ruined authority. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us, na'aseh v'nishma. We come, we have to do it. Now I'm going to tell you something. Right? If I'm going to tell you, I'm going to I'm going to try to bribe you to make me a meal. Listen, I want you to make me, please, we really need a shiur, Chinuch Yeladim. Can we do it at your house? Can we please do this? I think it's going to really help the people. I just did it before, I ruined it. I come in and say, I want to do a shiur at your house. You're obviously you're gonna right away, okay, yes, no problem. After you already did it, after you did the action, now I could tell you, by the way, you should know, you don't understand what you just did. Because you came and you made this shiur, you just caused another 20 people to come, and I don't know how many other people that are on Zoom that are going to listen afterwards on YouTube, and I don't know how many, and now what you just did, the effect, she wants to hear it. Beforehand, she didn't want to hear it because she didn't really want to do it. So I'm going to tell her, you want to make for me a Sheva Berachot? You're going to tell me, no, I'm going to tell you, no, but really I want the Sheva Berachot. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear you want to put it outside. Now that you're doing it as a command, you did it. Now, the opposite. You want to hear how much it actually affected other people. Because now, you already did it, so now you're sold. If you're already invested, now you want to hear how much good it did. It's a completely different psychology. And that's exactly what you're supposed to do with children. The children is not first explaining and then the command. The first is the command. Do it. After they did it, now you say, Kol hakavod, do you know what you just did? And now you come and you tell them what they did. Wow, it's a different world. Because now they're invested. They want to know what they did. But that's only after you've already done this. So that's what they're going to be, right? That's what you're supposed to do. No power struggles. What does that mean? Right? If you're going to come, right, you better listen to me, because if not, or whatever, there's no power struggles. Right? And with this, right, is very, very important. What does the power struggle mean? When you're going to come and you're going to give it, and I'm going to give you the last one, which is the no knee-jerk immediate answers. How many times does it happen that your child asks you something and it's immediate yes or no? The answer should never be yes or no. The answer should be wait, think it over, I'm thinking, or I'll even come back to you. Why? Because you're showing authority. If it's an immediate yes, I already knew my mommy was going to say yes. So you're never going to say yes. Immediately, you stop. You're going to think about it. Let me think. Yes, no. You know what? Okay. What did I just do? I inserted authority. I showed them who is boss. Because if not, then you don't have who's boss. By the way, you should know that one is the most important, that even if you only did that one, you just changed your life. Because you showed the children that there's no immediate answers. You want to think about everything. There's nothing which is immediate, like spontaneous. It's no. You think it through. It's a good training for them. It's good training for them, but it shows authority. Now, what about Ba'aseh Tov? What I just told you now was Sur Mirah. Sur Mirah was things that you don't do. So again, you're never going to come and you're not going to bribe. You're not going to threaten. You're not going to say ifs. You're not going to explain anything or over-explain. Only afterwards. Now, what do you do positive? So number one, you have to practice 3 times a day, simple, clear, calm requests. Yeah? Put your shoes in the closet. You don't care if it's in the closet, but you tell them, put your shoes in the closet. Please put the sefer back on the shelf. It's time to go to bed. Please brush your teeth now. The goal is not the shoes, and it's not nothing else. That's not the goal. The purpose is you're getting them accustomed to authority and discipline, meaning they are going to become disciplined. You told them something, they're going to listen, right? The ifs or the things, not if you pick up, you're going to get the threat and all those things, it doesn't happen. If they come and they ask you why, it doesn't become a debate. When a child says, why do I have to do that? It's not fair. The answer should be, because I said so. Or, that's the rules in our house. It's not because of, no. Because I said so. Those are the rules. Right? That's it. Very simple. Right? You have to keep your word.
If they don't listen, so you say again, I said.
Very good. So he actually brings it down, an incredible yesod. He says, the way you're able to do it is, the first time around you come and you say it. And wait there. Now, in your mind, you're going to be counting to 10. Why? Because you don't want to make it personal. Right? You don't want to make it personal. So you wait. You just wait there. And you're looking at them firm. Right? You're looking at them firm. You give them a command. After a little bit, after a few seconds, and you counted whatever it is, you're going to repeat it again. Right? Or you're going to tell them, did you hear what I told you? Right? And then afterwards, again, you're waiting. They still didn't do it. Right? You're going to say, right? Can you repeat what I asked you? They're not going to last and say, I'm very disappointed that you didn't listen to your parents. And then you just walk out. That's it. So the message is that you gave them the, not only, but it's not the guilt. They're going to realize how many times does it happen that you get into a fight with them and then at the end they do it. But why? Because you gave them the command. Even if now they're not going to listen. It's not, no, but again, you didn't give them a consequence. You didn't tell them if you're not going to do it, you're going to get a smack. I didn't tell you that. I don't need to tell you that. I give a command. The command is there and they have to follow through it. Imagine right now, you're going to have a Kadosh Baruch Hu on every single thing that he comes and he says, if you don't keep Shabbat, I give you a trecha. If you don't do that, Chas Shalom, a traffic accident. If you don't do this, you're going to say, listen, leave the religion for me, it's not for me. Why? You don't want that. So imagine you as a parent, that's all you're doing. If you don't do this, you're going to get that. If you do this, it's only bribes or threats. That's not parenting. That's not chinuch. Education is putting strong rules and discipline. Discipline means I come and I tell you a clear command and you have to practice it. And it doesn't matter if they listen or not. Now again, this has nothing to do with you. You're giving them a gift. The gift is discipline. If they're not ready for the gift, it'll come later on.
Okay,
when they're ready.
But comment on